Hey, my name is Aries, and if you don't know, I'm documenting my journey to get fit-ish. One of the ways I'm doing that journey is by following alternate day fasting. Today I want to talk about self-sabotage. Okay, so self-sabotage has always been something that has been a reoccurring theme, I guess. But I never really dived into what it actually was. It was a term that kind of felt self explanatory. Things are going well, and then you self sabotage yourself to stop doing the well things and the good things. And you end up pulling yourself back into what you're trying to get yourself out of. And lately, I've been having a lot of success with the channel, with my weight loss, with the alternate day fasting, with my fitness. And then this past week, it feels like I just started to self-sabotage. I ended up skipping a bunch of fast days. I didn't go as hard with my workouts, and I started doubting whether the channel growth was actually me or if it was just fake growth that I didn't deserve. So I started realizing and recognizing that I was falling into one of these self-destructive patterns, and I decided to read up on it and figure out exactly what it is and why we do these things. So it turns out self-sabotaging comes way back from being a kid. And when we're kids, our brains aren't fully developed yet. So we're not the greatest at recognizing and reasoning and rationalizing. So when we're kids, we experience different things. And through those things, we end up formulating core thoughts or core values about ourselves. So in some of the examples I was given in the videos and the articles I was reading was, say you had a parent that was neglecting or worked too much, so they didn't give much family time, or just didn't want to be a parent because they were too young and didn't know how to be a parent. So they assumed, if I don't have to acknowledge it, then it doesn't make me a parent and then I don't have to grow up. Something along those lines. Also, it doesn't have to be just parenting. It could be being bullied at school. The way that kids reacted to you or treated you, which for me, I think a lot of mine comes from that. But I have some notes, so bear with me. Okay, so instead of thinking as a kid the thought, my parent ignored me because they're a bad parent, or I was bullied by my peers because they were threatened by my bold personality, we instead believe my parent or peer is a reasonable and just person and is acting reasonably and just. So in that thought process, we then teach ourselves to believe that we are somebody worth ignoring and we are somebody who is worthless. And that's a core belief that we end up harboring and taking on and believing to be true far into our adult lives after our brains are capable of reasoning and rationaling much better. But it doesn't matter because now it's a core belief that we hold on to ourselves. And even as we get older, we find ways to believe it even further. So you'll have different things come up in your life and you'll justify it. Like, see, I know I'm worthless. See, I know I'm worthy of being ignored. And we find little ways to prove that core value, even if it's subconsciously. And this can like play out in any, it can be if you were abused as a kid. Like I said, there's all different kind of things. It doesn't have to be just a parent. It can be from anything: abuse, from neglect, from, you know, you can have a good parent and still have these core values affect you into the self-sabotaging. But what ends up happening is when you start having success, there becomes a conflict between who you are and who you believe you are. And so some people talk about it being like the shadow. And because we don't want to truly, because our adult brains can think of things differently, we don't want to truly believe that we're worthless or worth being ignored or worth being abused or, you know, all of these thoughts that are very negative. We don't want to truly believe those. So we cast them into the back of our mind, into what people call the shadow. And it's in that shadow that draws out the self-sabotaging. I hope I'm explaining this right. I'm not a thought person, or I don't have a degree in any of this. This is just some self-reading that I've done up. So forgive me if I'm not 100% on this, and don't take this as like therapeutic advice or anything. I was just very interested in the whole concept, and I'm trying to understand it better so that I can try and work past it. So the shadow is all of these like aspects of ourselves that we're trying to hide and not be who we are. But as long as they're always there, and as long as we allow them to be there without dealing with them, they will always try and return us back to that feeling and that person. So same with these core values. As soon as we start seeing success or worth or being included, and it goes against what we believe we're, you know, not worthy, worth being ignored, you know, worth abusing, then those core values do whatever they can to draw you back in. It's like a magnet, and it's like an internal, because a lot of times when self-sabotaging starts happening, we can't really understand why we're doing it to ourselves. You know, like this week, I decided I had my eat days already planned because I was trying to stick with my old job schedule and keep those days off, so in hopes to get back to those same days off. So I ate on the Friday and the Saturday. I fasted on the Sunday, and then my new off days were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I just end up eating Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So there was no reason to. I just did it. It was like I was telling myself, oh yeah, your body needs it because you're working out harder. But my workouts weren't harder. Yes, I've been rowing every day for a while, but I mean, I really wasn't pushing myself on the rower. So it's like, I can logically see that I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, but there's like this magnetizing pull that's trying to coerce me into wrecking my progress and pull me back down into not getting the weight loss, not seeing my full potential, not going forward with this success. So I definitely want to try and get past this. One of the people that I watched, they had like a kind of step-by-step process that they wanted to try and do to work through their self-sabotaging. So what they do say is that step one is to recognize that these core thoughts or beliefs about yourself are not facts. We are not worthless. We are not worth abusing. We are not worth neglecting. You would never say anything like that about somebody else. So why would we say it about ourselves, right? You just wouldn't. You would never say to your partner or child who came home from a bad day, well, you deserved that bad day because X, Y, and Z. You would never do that. But we do it internally to ourselves. So the first thing is recognizing that these thought processes are not facts. Next, he says to list out all of your negative core beliefs. This is tricky because you have to shine light onto that shadow. You have to sit in those feelings, and it can be hard to do, and it can be emotional. So some of mine, I won't go through all of them, but some of mine are that I deserve to be abandoned and rejected and bullied, and that I'm disgusting, ugly, and unlovable. These very much stem from being bullied as a kid. I grew up in a very small town, and kids were mean. Kids were very mean. And I had a bold personality. And I guess, I don't know. Kids were mean, and I was bullied heavily. And I was thought to, I had bad teeth before. I've had braces now since having an adult. So I had very crooked teeth, and I was made fun of for it. And I was just, treated very poorly as a kid. And I think a lot of my self-sabotaging and a lot of my core beliefs come from that. So I'm trying to recognize that, take power over it, say it out loud so that it's less powerful, or I'm one step closer to getting past it. I don't know. Okay, so those are two of my negative ones. So then he says to write out the opposite. This feels real corny. This feels real cheesy. But the opposite is, I deserve to be joined, accepted, and celebrated. And I am beautiful and lovable. And then you can go on to find evidence for each, and then weigh them out to the differences. And it's more about recognizing what it is that's causing all of these feelings and emotions. So I have taken time this week to read up on this, try and work through some of these things and thoughts and processes, and understand why I am trying to break down or slow my weight loss progress. So, as I said, I ended up skipping a bunch of my fast days and eating way more than I should have. I don't know how, but I did end up maintaining my weight this week. So, that's at least wonderful. Going into next week, I don't know how good it's going to be because I think I'm still going to be working through this stuff. This isn't an easy one-day fix. I think it's something that takes some time. So there's a chance that next week I probably will be in and around the same boat, but that's okay. I want to get this dealt with now before it continues to be an issue later on, right? This is about a weight loss journey. To me, isn't just about losing physical weight. It's also about losing mental weight. It's about bettering yourself all around. And a lot of times people overeat and abuse food because of these internal weight that we're carrying around with us. So if we never deal with that internal weight, we're never going to keep the physical weight off, because it's always going to come back up and manifest itself in a new way and come around and self-sabotage. At least that's my thought process. Again, I am not a mental health person. I am not trained in any of this. It's just my own personal thoughts and my feelings on the situation. So, yeah, this week was a little heavy. But like I said, I stayed the exact same weight. I'm going to try and be better with my fasting days, but no guarantees. But either way, what's fantastic about alternate day fasting is that even by doing the couple days of fasting that I did do, I was able to stay the same. And that's huge. Normally, especially while dealing with all of this heavy stuff, I would overeat and be up in weight, right? I think most of us can agree with that. So I'm happy that I have maintained my weight while being able to unpackage all of this stuff. So yeah, that's this week. Not probably not the video you thought, but you know what? Not everything is going to be, perfect. Definitely not over here. I am not perfect. But yeah, so I don't know. Do you guys deal with this? Have you ever looked into self-sabotaging and actually read what it's about? What are your thoughts on it, I guess? And thank you for joining me on another one. If you haven't seen it already, on Monday, I posted my 30 days of yoga journey. Go check out that video. I'll link it here. And then, this is a playlist that you guys are already interested in. So thank you so much. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and we will see you on the next one.